Milcho. Great to see you again. I feel like you and I need to have some sort of a series going on, maybe once a year or even more than that. But let's begin. I mean, it's always so great to speak to you. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
So let's begin. I have to tell you, I loved Kaymak. One of the first things that I noticed when I started watching the film was that beautiful blue and orange. And, just those colors and those themes, clearly you specifically chose those two colors, blue and orange. Did you choose them because of their symbolism, or was there, something bigger, better, or a bigger meaning for you?
I always work from intuition. So when things happen, they're not premeditated in a rational sense. There's no message that I can articulate in a sentence, nor a meaning that I intend in a rational way or consciously. Which is not to say that things are not very disciplined, organized, and thoroughly executed, but it's not that I answer things to myself in an organized way. It's more like this. I like the taste of this element, and then I follow it. And sometimes I follow it all the way. Sometimes turns out it doesn't work, and we do a 180 and go off to do something different for that particular scene. And I'm telling all of this as a way of explaining why the blues and the oranges. There is no rational explanation of why we did it. It just felt right. It felt organic to the scenes. It felt organic to the film. It sort of came out from the material, and to a great extent, it was something that the production designer, David Munz, and the director of photography, Ulrich Boyle-Benson, pushed for. So they contributed to that, and it was a lot of brainstorming in deciding on which colors to go with, how to visualize the film, and what to do. It's great when you have good collaborators.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you surround yourself with an incredible team, anything and everything is possible. And forget about the possibilities, but you can climb mountains so quickly and create incredible creative pieces. To me, this movie evoked a lot of greed. Buying love, using money to buy things that you easily can't get, which is what a lot of people want. They want that money to buy themselves whatever it is that they can't have. But as I was watching it, it gave me this sense of be careful what you pray for. Was this obvious and intentional?
Yeah. I mean, it was. There was all the main six characters, and even seven if you count the uncle. They're all good and bad, or bad and good. Nobody is black or white in this film. Everybody is both a victim and a perpetrator, and it is. I think this portrayal is closer to how things are in life. And greed was one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this film, just because it's prevalent. It ruins lives. It affects other people's lives, and it's often celebrated, which is bizarre and sad, but that's how it is. I mean, one of the elements that were part of the thinking process when I started working on this film was a question I often heard from Macedonian viewers, particularly in Macedonia, and it was, why so many villages in my films? why so much countryside and poor villages in the films? And to me, that doesn't really matter. To me, those are beautiful villages, beautiful countryside. To me, what matters is the moral and ethical um, spine of the characters we talk about, their ability to sacrifice and to do good rather than whether they're rich or poor. But since people kept thinking about it, I was like, okay, I'll give you a film set in the city where people are rich, but that doesn't make them good. So that was one of the ingredients um, of that's how one of the things we were thinking about. I was thinking about when I started writing Kaymak.
It's interesting because you still did go back to a tiny village and you showed the beautiful mountains and the gorgeous villages that we do have in Macedonia.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me how you personally always tackle women's issues, right? Whether it's, I mean, you've done it in your other movies, whether it's Willow, Bikini Moon, Dust, Before the Rain. Kaymak is the same, however, very different too. You have this sensitive side to you, and then all hell breaks loose, and it's very thought-provoking. And throughout the film, there's so many aha moments. How do you come up with the theme for these movies, and then you create these incredible characters and emotions?
You know what? The theme comes later. I start with the story. I
Mhm.
start with the plot, with that I believe archaic need we all have to hear stories or to tell stories, whether they're folk tales or legends or myths or nation building myths or history or jokes or soaps. That's all stories. And I think we all need stories. We crave stories. We love telling them. Some of us tell them better than others. Some of us tell jokes better than others, but that's all storytelling and story hearing. And I think it's very human, and it's really interesting, and it's characteristic of most cultures, of all cultures. Um, so to me, storytelling comes easy. Then turning that story into film, now that's a slog.
Yeah.
There's financing, there's organizing, there's visualizing, there's communicating to dozens of people, dozens of great creative people, and we have to get on the same page. So it all starts with the story. It all starts with a plot twist, with a plot situation that excites me. And it's the type of story that makes people go, and what happened next? So when I in the early stages, I talk to friends, I tell them the story, and I'm waiting for them to say, and then what happened next? And if we have that, then we have the story. Then of course it grows, it takes different directions. I love surprises in my stories.
Yeah.
And in films I watch, I also like surprises. I like big surprises, and then characters develop. So if all of that works in an organic way, if all of that makes sense, then there is going to be a theme that emerges from this story, from this world. So in other words, I never start with the theme. I start with the story, and while telling the story, while developing the film, the theme crystallizes. Same with the women's themes in most of my films. I never set out to do a film about women or a women's film or a women's issue or themed film. But somehow they all found me,
Yeah.
or they all emerged from the stories. And I mean, women are so interesting to talk about or talk to. Um, I find female characters more complex. I like the soft side that can harden and that can become um, that can really surprise you. So I don't know. I mean, there's something more complex for me, for my taste, in talking about women. But it's not something I set out to do. It just sort of happened. For example, in Dust, um, the lead character of Angela, originally when I started writing the story, he was a man. And
Interesting.
then at one point, because I like playing while writing the stories, while making the film, it's like, why does it have to be a man? Why not a woman? And it became Angela, this 100-year-old woman born in Macedonia who dies in New York. And so many things happened because she was a woman. It made the character a little different, a little richer, a little more. The relationships somehow became a little more complex because there was something else in her. Same with Bikini Moon. Originally, it was a guy named Max who, in the process of writing the story, became a woman named Bikini Moon. Um, you know, people are more similar to each other than different from each other, and whether it's men and women, whether it's nations or religions, and we should keep that in mind.
That's a really good point. It's an extremely good point. And what I want to do is ask a secondary question to that one, where, you said that you test stories. So do you actually get together with a group of people that you know, people that you don't know, and start a little bit of storytelling and see where it goes when you're writing, or is that just kept in close corners?
No, it's very informal. I just tell the story. I don't even ask people to read it, and it's always friends, which is dangerous because they want to like whatever you have to offer. So I ask them, if you don't like it, tell me that you don't like it. But when you're telling it, you change it, and in a way, you go back to Homer and the gusleri in the Balkans and the oral tradition. But anyway, I mean, you tell the story, you see the feedback right away, and while telling it, you mold it, you modify it. So no, I never do um, formal test sessions either for the stories or for the films while we're edited. I've I show the rough cut to people, get feedback. On Bikini Moon, I even got like a little group of about a dozen people and asked them to do a questionnaire. But usually it's very informal, very organic, and I wouldn't change a thing in a film if I don't think it should be changed, only because a studio executive or because one segment of the audience doesn't get it or doesn't like it.
Well, because the films are you, so you can't really
Yeah,
change
I mean that's the kind of films
it.
I'm making, and I guess I'm a little old school in that way, and I believe in the artist as the creator or the group of artists, and they create something that's relevant, that's close to their heart, and ideally close to the viewer's heart, and that's the primary reason for the work of art to exist. It's not to make money or to make a political statement.
So we're going to go back to flaws, right? We were talking
Okay.
earlier about, humans having flaws. We're all flawed. But so are all of your characters as well, which makes them true to life and makes them likable and hateable and, makes you think about them. Except for the older, wiser, like Baba. She was
Mm-hmm.
not flawed at all. And is this intentional to make us understand life lessons?
Probably. I mean, it's not intentional, but that's sort of, I guess, what it boils down to. Um I'm partial to babas.
Who isn't? We all
Uh,
love our good babas.
yeah, I mean, I was doing a commercial for the tourist board of Macedonia, and I was thinking of heroes. Who would be the hero? You know, who is the real hero that we should all look up to? Is it Alexander the Great? Is it Kralj Marko? Is it I don't know, Kochoratsin? And then I thought that it should be the kind the kind Baba with endless love to everybody. That's the real hero. So that's I worked her into the commercial. And speaking of Babas, actually, the actress who plays the Baba in Kaymak, as well as in uh, Willow and Mothers and Shadows, Ratka Radmanovic, just passed away today.
Oh my
And
goodness. I'm so sorry to
I
hear that.
she was just a wonderful person and great actress, obviously. So I want to dedicate this conversation to her.
Yes, please. And maybe when we all go out for dinner tonight, we can dedicate our meal to her as well. And just for those people that don't know who Baba is your grandmother.
Yeah.
So, someone who's near and dear. And she was amazing. As far as I know, she's been in every one of your films, and she's so relatable and lovable as well. So I'm really sorry to hear that news today. Um, and now I got to go into, Kaimak being full of selfish individuals and narcissists.
Yeah.
Um, but they all actually had compassion at some point. Um, were these characters created from anyone that you know, or were they just, did you pick and choose from, good and bad from different people, or just completely made up?
They were made up, except that the situation in the apartment upstairs where the rich folks live.
Mhm.
For those who haven't seen the film, I don't want to spoil it. That whole situation with the relative from the countryside, from the village, that's all based on a real event.
No.
Yeah, yeah, something a friend in Germany told me about that involved gastarbeiters from Macedonia, lived in Germany. So that whole um, event, that development, that in real life took a couple of years, a few years. Um, that inspired. I reworked it, obviously,
Yeah.
for the film, and it's really different. But other than that, the characters themselves, um, in this particular case, in this particular film, I did not model them after anybody I knew. They were, they were the result of the needs of the story. Then the playful interaction with the story, and most of what you see on the film was on paper by the time we got into rehearsal. But then in rehearsal, some things changed. They definitely got richer, they got deeper because of the involvement of this great group of fantastic actors. So that's how we ended up with this ensemble. This like I'm really proud of the characters in this film and the way they're portrayed by these great actors.
And you should be. I have to say, I was waiting a really long time to watch Kaimak. And when I finally watched it, it gave me a few out loud gasps. I got goosebumps. I had these incredible moments watching it, thinking, oh, really? It was those aha moments that you were talking about. And I think it's a must see film for everyone. And I know that you're going to win a lot of awards for this incredible film. Um, you know, all the characters were all enjoying in Eaters of Kaimak. And there's something calming and honest about, having kaymak in your meal and eating and enjoying it. Is that why you called the film Kaymak, or was there another reason?
I don't know. It's again, this is one of those things that I do by intuition. I play with it, I try to refine it, but it's not, it doesn't come from a conscious place, it doesn't come from a calculation or a messaging point place. So while it very early on while writing it, I was like, yeah, this should be Kaymak, and then of course you go back and try to think a little more about it, try to rationalize and understand why you went with that. And Kaymak, in addition to somebody brought up the sexual references in Kaymak. Okay, yes, sure, you can say that, but it's Kaymak is the best of something. It's the cream.
Yeah.
It's the Kaymak on the coffee, or it's the cream. So it's the cream of life. It's the about characters. All of them try to grab the best that life can offer, with various degrees of success.
And what a great way to end this. Thank you so much for your time, Milcho. It was so great to see you again.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you so much. Thanks.